Hello everyone. In this video, we'll be talking about some frequently occurring concepts in reading comprehension. The first concept is generality to specificity. So what we mean by this? There are certain things which are general in nature. For example, trees. That is a general term. Then we have something which is more specific, like a kind of tree. That is a mango tree. Similarly, we can have many other examples. General would be car, specific would be a BMW. So what we are trying to say here is that this is a big circle, which is the general. Within this, there would be a smaller circle, which is the specific, because all mango trees are a kind of tree, or all BMWs are a kind of car. So in the reading comprehension, you need to make sure that if we are given something which is general, so if in the reading comprehension it's given that all trees are big in this particular forest, and then in the answer choices you are given that all mango trees are big, this is a correct answer choice. So you need to remember, if the general statement is given, then the specific statement automatically becomes true. But if a specific statement is given, the general statement is not true. So if, for instance, in the passage it's given that all professionals went for the run, and in the answer choices it's given that all doctors went for the run, then obviously it's true because all doctors are professionals. But on the other hand, if in the passage it's given that all doctors went for the run, but in the answer it's given that all professionals went for a run, that's not true. So that's the first concept of generality to specificity. The next concept is this thing about main increasing, least and decreasing. Many times in the passages we are asked what is the main cause for something happening, or that in the recent past this has been an increasingly a reason for something happening. So to understand the difference, let us draw a graph. So let us say there are 3 causes for a particular thing, and if I give them marks, the first cause was highest, the second cause stood here, and the third cause was here. So let us say the cause of a particular disease is A, pollution, second is stress, and third could be something like noise. I'm just taking random examples. Now it could so happen that with cleanliness, pollution has become less of a worry a little bit, and now pollution is only contributing so much to the problem, but stress has increased in intensity, and also noise has increased. In the next year, pollution went down some further, stress increased a little bit, and noise increased again. Now if you see that even now, even in the third year, pollution is a bigger cause than stress, and it is also still a bigger cause than noise. But if you see, so this means pollution is the main cause. It has remained the main cause over the years, but stress has been increasing. So stress has increasingly been a cause for the disease. On the other hand, noise has been increasing rapidly. So in the comprehension, you need to understand very clearly that there is a difference between the main cause and then increasingly cause, or even a rapidly increasing cause. So if it's given that in the recent years stress has increasingly been the cause of the disease, it doesn't mean that it is the main cause. Even though it is increasing, the main cause could be something else. Now on similar lines, you can have a decreasing cost which might not be the least cause. So you can map it exactly like this. Okay, the next concept that we're going to talk about is causality versus correlation. So let's say your passage gives a statement like this, that the richest countries spend the most on education, but your answer choice gives spending more money on education will improve the economy, because after all, the countries that spend the most on education have the strongest economies. So, as you can see, here there is a causation that if you are rich, implies you will spend more on education. But if you see this, the answer choice, the causality has been reversed. So this is a case of reversed causality. Here you are saying that if you spend more on education, it would imply that you become rich. So spending more money on education will improve the economy. And the reason that they've given is this statement, that because richest countries spend most on education. But as you can see, this statement implies that if you are rich, you spend more on education. But the answer is implying the reverse of this, that you spend more, hence you become rich. So this is a classic trap of reversed causality, and you need to be very aware of this. Now the second problem is this thing called causality versus correlation. Now if I give you a statement that there have recently been an increase in the number of doctors in the city, but at the same time thieves in the city have also increased. So does this mean that a doctor is a thief, or does it mean that because the doctors have increased, it implies that the thieves have increased? So neither of these two are actually true. This is because if the doctors are increasing and the thieves are increasing, this is a correlation. There could be a correlation in this, but there is no causality. Causality means something which causes something. So A causes B. So if A is increasing and B is also increasing, it does not necessarily mean that A is causing B to increase. So you need to remember this concept very clearly. Two things that we need to remember in this. One is causality versus correlation. Two things could be correlated, but they need not necessarily be a cause of each other. And this problem of reversed causality. Okay, so next we come to the concept of superlatives. Superlatives are basically extreme words. So these are that we call categorical words. So examples of these are all, only, always, never, exclusively, etc. So what this means is that there is no scope for anything happening apart from what is given in the statement. So for example, if some answer choice says that all women in East India suffer from swine flu. Now just because of this one word, maybe the answer choice has become wrong. So the passage may have mentioned that swine flu has affected most women in East India, or women were the most affected group in East India from swine flu. But because we've added this word all, it has completely changed the sense, and you need to be very aware that whenever you see words like all, only, always, never, so these kind of words which are very, very categorical, so they are like the extreme, you need to be very aware of whether the statement has mentioned these words exactly. If they haven't mentioned these words exactly in the passage, it means most probably this will be incorrect. So another example would be similarly from swine flu, only women in East India suffer from swine flu. So again this would mean that two things, in East India only women are suffering from swine flu, which means there is no man which suffers from swine flu in East India, or only women in East India suffer from swine flu, which means women in other parts of the country do not suffer from swine flu. So there is a high probability generally that either these statements are incorrect, or you need to pay very, very much high attention, and these statements need to be mentioned categorically in the passage for them to be marked as correct answer choices in your exam.